morning, everybody. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. I welcome you all with the greetings of peace and submission. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you. May God show mercy upon you, that all of you be prosperous. Today we have a very important guest with us, His Holiness Sadhu Pujya Brahmavihari Swamiji. He is a sadhu, meaning a monk who has renounced the world for the service of divinity through humanity. We are honored, we are blessed with your presence, Swamiji, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome you here and say a few words as introduction. An introduction about somebody who has transcended all limits of introduction. He is originally from the United Kingdom, very highly educated, and he became a sadhu in the year of 1981. 37 long years he has been serving divinity and for the cause of Hindutva, which we call the Indian philosophy. If you allow me, I may do a small prayer. The same prayer what Musa alayhi salam, the Prophet Moses, did when he was entrusted with the task of preaching to the people of Egypt. Rabbi shrah li sadri, wayassir li amri, wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. O my Lord, broaden my heart, make my speech clear so that my audience understand me. On behalf of Goodwins, on behalf of FLI, and the 85 plus partner firms worldwide, and the 14,000 lawyers who are represented here through their representatives coming from each firm, and all of you, our distinguished guests, I take liberty to welcome His Holiness Pujya Brahmavihari Swamiji.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Shri Swaminarayan Bhagwan Jai. Akshar Purushottam Maharaj Jai. Radha Krishna Devani Jai. Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan Jai. Umapati Mahadevani Jai. Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharaj Jai. Guru Hari Mahan Swami Maharaj Jai. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav Jai. In the divine presence of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, in the equally divine presence of my Guru Hari, Pramukh Swami Maharaj, Mahan Swami Maharaj, in the revered presence of saints, Adil, who himself is a good lawyer, in the presence of somebody whom I also cherish and treasure. And we met as strangers. But remember one thing, the people whom you meet as strangers, that friendship will last even after you are no longer on this earth. Shaheen. We met as strangers, but he has been a rock in whatever we have been able to do in the Middle East. So Goodwins is not introduced by the First Law International, but First Law International is introduced by each of you in the world today. So I take this opportunity first to thank you for at least in a lawyers' conference arranging a spiritual talk. Nowadays, it's rare. We all worry about ethics, we talk about values, but who generates them? Who creates them? So this step in doing something in this part of the world by a Hindu sadhu speaks much about harmony and the values that you share and stand for. Thank you very much. At the same time, I'd like to start with something which I had not prepared for. But 2 days ago, I was in Bahrain. And in Bahrain, we were in the royal court, which actually officiated between the Prime Minister's court and the King's court and the Crown Prince's court. There I happened to meet a very important royal family member. And he is not just important, he's influential, intellectual. And he asked me, Swamiji, why don't you stay on a little bit more for Bahrain? And I said, no, I have something important that I have to do in Abu Dhabi. He said, what? I said, there's a lawyers' conference. And the first words he said, beware. That talks a lot about our reputation. I don't want to go into that. But I didn't see it negatively, and I don't think he meant it negatively. He was just trying to tell me that, Swamiji, be careful of what you speak because lawyers can give wings to your words. Be careful of what you mean because lawyers can mold and remold meanings of what you say. But at the same time, when I look at you and the way you received us, it was not in my mind at all that there would be a small arti in the presence of a royal lawyers' conference. The way you received us. We no longer see you as lawyers when we see friends and friends who represent 14,000 lawyers from 85 countries and hundreds of such lawyer friends, then I feel invincible, protected for life. So thank you very much for receiving us in the most homely and friendly way that you could have. Coming back to what I wanted to emphasize is every profession is important, and as Shaheen just said, one of the root cause is do your duty. Be proud of your profession. You don't need to fight for it. More than a profession, you should have a passion for it. A profession extracts life from your life. A passion breathes in life into your life. So if you consider your profession a passion, then I believe it's very important for the world. Once in such a small conference where professionals had got together, and obviously when all professionals get together, there's always discussion, then discussion slowly goes into debate. And they started debating that whose profession is the oldest. Obviously the doctors, I'm sorry if there are any doctors, I've got nothing against them. But doctors are a rare breed. They are the only professionals who would like to put the title doctor before them. No lawyer says lawyer so-and-so, engineer so-and-so, architect so-and-so. Doctors are the only breed who would love to have doctor before their name. To introduce, I'm a doctor, now you can know me. So obviously the doctor said that our profession is the oldest and the most critical. They said, why? He said, then God created man and then God wanted Eve. So God carved out the rib from man and created Eve. To carve out that rib, God obviously needed a doctor. So ours is the oldest profession. Before he could sit down, the engineers got up and said, hey, wait a minute. Long before God created man and woman, God created the earth, the moon, the sun, the mountains. And obviously the moon had to remain stable in the sky. The earth had to rotate at the right speed. Obviously the mountains had to stand still and the rivers had to flow. What if the mountains started flowing and the river stood still? Of course, God needed dynamics, movement, stability. So engineers were the oldest profession because God needed the engineers much before than the doctors. Before the engineers could sit down, the architect got up and said, hey, wait a minute, but who gave God the designs? That this is the moon, this is the sun, this is a tree, this is a flower, this is a rabbit. Who gave God designs? God needed a designer. So obviously, long before anything was created, it was just a simple melee of chaos. From chaos to create designs, the architect was necessary. Just when everybody was discussing, that's when the politician got up and he said, who created the chaos? When all this was going on, remember it's a professional group. When all this was going on, that's when the lawyer stood up very quietly. He said, objection, my lord. Who drafted the rights for God to create this earth? We were the first who drafted the rights. And then who protects the rights of God that only God can create and no one else? Who protects those rights? Who ensures those rights are maintained? Lawyers. Who makes sure that those rights are continued for posterity till eternity? Lawyers. I'm not here just to sing praises of what lawyers are. No. Look at life. Right from the rights of creation to human rights, more than 30 as United Nations have listed out. Maybe you may know, I don't even know the 30 human rights that I'm supposed to have, no problem. But from God's rights to human rights, to talk about animal rights. Now we are talking about environmental rights. Talking about rights to life, rights to die, the rights of the dead, and even rights after the dead have deceased. Who continues and maintains the will? Who talks about land and property long after? Now the lawyers are also drafting special rights of people to own property on the moon and in space. So who talks about all these rights? And I have to tell you very honestly that somebody has said very wisely that sure, God reserves our rights in heaven, but on earth is the lawyers that ensure them. They said, we are sure that God will give you justice in heaven, but on earth, lawyers figure it out for you and the judge. And very rightly, if you look at life as a whole, the presence of a lawyer in this world today, in the life that we have chosen to live, I'm not talking about it, it was eternal right from time immemorial, but the life that we've created, the presence of a lawyer is almost ubiquitous. Right from deciding the legal parents of a child, DNA mapping, to child rights, marital rights, educational rights, right to information. Then as you go along and along and along, we have generated so many things that even if you want to create, right from patents, companies, corporations, when two countries want to do agreements, who do they call? The lawyers. When you want to enforce something, nowadays I feel the way everything is moving, even religious organizations are first searching for good lawyers. Why?
Because the presence, the ability, the understanding, the total spectrum of a lawyer's life touches every facet of human life. Yes, you may have chosen a certain field. You may have chosen just corporation or civil or criminal or legal or whatever that you may have chosen. But in a way, as Robert Frost put it very gently and very beautifully, emphasizing that lawyers have become a very critical and integral part of human life, and also emphasizing that law at this moment has become the new religion. Even religious organizations will consult lawyers first and then said, can we pray in these places? Yes, you can, legally it's allowed. So law has almost become a new religion, and Robert Frost put it beautifully. He said, please don't mind me, I'm not quoting and I'm keeping myself distant from what he has said, but he has said 12 people, a jury consists of 12 people chosen to decide who has the best lawyer. It's nothing to do with justice anymore. It's the way you present, the way you interpret, the way you take truth and piece it together. And it's also important that we know that we look at history. Not all lawyers become great leaders, but many great leaders are lawyers. Start from Abraham Lincoln, Woodrow Wilson, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and for your information, Xi Jinping. Many leaders who are influencing the world today and their thoughts which have been influenced to the world today have been leaders and lawyers themselves. So once again, I'm not here to tell you that each one of you are going to become a leader of a nation. But one thing is true, wherever you are sitting in a small village, in a small circle, at a party or a discussion, by default, the lawyer is always looked at and looked up to. Your voice is always the loudest and you are heard the farthest. Why? I've gone to small villages in India and tribal villages. People have come up to me and said, Swamiji, we want to do this and that. I said, are you sure? Yeah, our lawyer has said we can do it. I said, all right. The small tribal people, why? Because they trust you. It's not that you're superhuman, an angel, and everything. No, they trust you that you'll speak the truth. They trust you that you'll show them the right way. It's important. This faith is based that you by default become a leader even in a discussion. Imagine, go outside even while you're having a cup of tea and you give a view and then you said you're a lawyer. People said, wow, I think that's true. It's not that people don't want to argue with you, but they feel that you are most well informed, you are truthful. So again, with great power, you have great responsibility. Remember this. With great power, you have great responsibility, and the biggest responsibility of a lawyer. Down the line, I'll talk about, yes, the duty of a lawyer. There are 4 duties that Shaheen always outlined to me, that the 4 duties of a lawyer are there. Duty towards the court, meaning you can never misguide the judge. You have to be truthful and you have to present the facts in a truthful manner. Duty towards the court. Then there is duty towards your client. That you have to tell the client everything that is within the law for his protection or her protection. Duty towards the court. Duty towards the client. Then there is the third thing which is most important. It is duty towards the community. It's not just society, it's duty towards the community. Whatever you do, whatever you take in your hands, it's important that it should have a community role and impact that would be beneficial to the community. Then the 4th is duty towards your counterpart, counsel. They're all C's. That you must respect your opponent. He's a lawyer. And ethics tell us that we must respect them. But I'm here also to tell you that one of the most important duties of a lawyer, which gives prominence or meaning to all these four, is duty towards his own conscience and truth. A lawyer's life is not like a scientist who invents. A lawyer's life is more like an archaeologist who discovers. If you go around inventing truth, which nowadays many do, you're not a good lawyer. Don't be a scientist in your profession. Be an archaeologist who discovers the truth, who digs out the truth. So a lawyer's life with truth has to be like an archaeologist who discovers, digs out the truth. But today, I'm sorry to say, and I believe all of you are aware, we live in this digital age of mass communication. Sorry, mass miscommunication, let me correct it. We live in this digital age where there is not just mass conspired communication, but fake information. When truth is veiled, masked, sometimes twisted, and sometimes placed in a way that would actually manipulate the minds of people. To emphasize this, I would like to quote an imaginary story. The story is not true, but I think even imaginary stories drive home the truth and reality. Once a man died. Like everybody dies, what's so special about this man? He died, and the angels appeared. So the angels asked that man, where do you want to go, heaven or hell? The guy said, do I have a choice? He said, yeah, nowadays you have a choice. Because democracy is catching up. Our laws in heaven have changed as well. He said, oh really? He said, oh, if I have a choice whether to go to heaven or hell, do you have any brochures or do you have any videos or any material that I can see to really make sure this is heaven and this is hell? He said, of course. Freedom of expression. We have all those. They said, okay, then show me. Can I have something and give me a week's time to decide whether I should go to heaven or hell? I said, okay, if you want to know information, these are the brochures for heaven. And if you really want to see what hell is like, this is a DVD for hell. He said, wow, hell is advanced, as it always is. He said, okay, a DVD for hell and a simple leaflet and a brochure for heaven. First of all, he started going through this brochure for heaven and he saw pictures, very quiet, calm, meditative, morose, people hardly smiling, fasting, very distant. He was interested, but he didn't really find it cool. And he said, let me slip in the DVD of hell. And in that he saw people laughing, enjoying, party, whatever we do now, right? They were doing it in a great way. And he felt, God, hell looks really interesting. So he called him back again, the angel. He said, I don't think I need 1 week to decide. I've decided. He said, where do you want to go? He said, hell. He said, are you sure? He said, yeah, I want to go to hell. He said, one last chance I'm giving you because this freedom of choice is democratic. You have a choice. The laws are different now. He said, I've decided that I want to go to hell. I don't want to go to heaven. He said, one last choice. If you want to go to heaven, take the staircase up. And if you want to go to hell, take the elevator down. He said, wow, even the passage is technologically advanced. Yeah? He said, I've decided. Gets into the elevator, the lift, props him up, presses the switch of hell, and to his shock and horror, the whole lift bottom opens up. He falls into a deep, dark pit, full of filth. And he's just suffocating, and he's just trying to keep his head above all the mess. And he's just struggling and bobbing in that filth and smell. And at that time, in this darkness, he looks up and shouts. He said, what, is this hell? The guy from the top says, yes. He said, what was all that you showed me on the DVD? He said, that was our publicity department. We live in an age of promotions, presentations, interpretations. And that's why lawyers' role become more and more important to dig out the truth. You have a great onus, and it should not be underestimated. We live in an age of Cambridge Analytica. Of course we knew that information is collected. Of course we knew that it's not just collected, but it's connected. Of course we knew that information is sold, but we never knew it was stolen. Of course we knew that information is shared, but we never knew it was conspired. Of course, now we know information is not just masterminded, it's manipulated to puppeteer the minds of mankind. I'm not trying to create fear, because we are all aware of it. But in this world, I tell you, the world of consumerism and capitalism, if you think you're getting anything for free, then you have just sold yourself. If you think that you're getting anything for free, then actually you are the product. So we find out that the more the truth is twisted, the more people are confused, the greater the role of lawyers will be. And it's not just limited to simple corporations or simple lives of the people. You know, we've created, in the name of truth, everybody who meets you in the street will say, honestly. And then you need to figure out how honest they are. Everybody who says, in truth, truth almost has become a cliche. And we've used it, overused it, and many times abused it. That's why the role of true lawyers, why did I say good lawyers? Normally all lawyers should be truthful and good. But the fact we have to qualify good and truthful itself shows that all are not. And again, to emphasize something which is very important, because we are also responsible for masking the truth and creating double standards. Tell me the truth, put your hand on your heart, and in all honesty, tell me the truth. The truth which I believe. Is it not the time of civilization where we constantly talk about peace and harmony? Maybe peace and harmony has not been talked about so much before as it is talked about now. Are not the maximum conferences and the beautiful letters and agreements which are drafted filled, and actually I should not use the word, but littered with words like peace, harmony, tolerance? But I want to ask you, in the name of peace, where we stand at a junction when maximum number of peace conferences are done, the largest earning industry is armaments. What a paradox. You tell me that we believe in peace, and the maximum trade and business is armaments. Of course, lawyers will be able to justify it is a deterrent. It makes you feel safe. But double standards. Where we constantly talk about happiness, we constantly and continually invent new products for comforts. Where we believe that the progress of a country is directly proportionate to the comforts it creates for its citizens. We believe in that. Comfortable roads, comfortable buildings, comfortable environments, comfortable products. Of course we believe in that. All to generate happiness. And the most surefire industry which will never have recession is antidepressant drugs. They never have a depression. I've been talking to pharmaceutical people and they say, whoa, we're sure, we're good. There's no problems. We talk about happiness, we have conferences, we have international days of happiness, but have we ever sat down to really think, is this the right standards that we want? Not only that, go a step further. We all talk about family values. Not a single conference, wherever you are, or not a simple discussion that you're having across a dinner will not talk about family. But how many of you spend time with your family? Come on. I didn't want to talk like that. I know nobody wants to put a lawyer in the witness box, so sorry, forgive me. But I want to really be honest and I really be truthful. We talk about family values, but how many of you spare? You'll easily tell me, Swami, but where's the time? Do you believe in it? Then you'll find time. It's important that we actually honor what we believe. I should not be saying this, but there's not a single culture, not a single religion, not a single country, not a single conscious person who will approve pornography. We all know it's wrong. Then why does it exist? Why do electronic companies, those who do not have special trade agreements with that industry, fail? You go back and do your research. I know of companies who have failed, who have refused on moral high ground not to have any business, and they failed. These are the questions when you are searching and digging out truth for the world, for society, for your clients, and for your own conscience. They should be asked. It's not in finding the right answers, it's in asking the right questions. I was in England, and I remember in the late 1970s, the Labour Party ran an ad. And the ad was so simple, the ad went along, that why are we worried when our children come back home late? Why do the elderly feel that they will never recover from ill health? Why do we always believe that prices will continue to rise? Why do we not feel safe in our own country? And the answer was, we may not have the right answers, but at least we are asking the right questions. Vote Labour. In this world, you may not have the right answers, but if you ask the right questions, God, the faith you believe in, people, your own conscience will lead you to the truth. Einstein often said that if I have a problem and my life depends on it, go home and please think about this. If I have a problem and my life depends on it, and I've only been given an hour to solve that problem, lawyers, you will find yourself many times in such situations, you just have to get in just next half an hour or find a solution. So he said, if I have a problem and my life depends on it, and I have just 1 hour to find a solution, I would spend 55 minutes in asking the right questions. In the next 5 minutes, the solution would come. Most of the time, people spend 1 hour in seeking the solution without asking the right questions. Ask the right questions, and all the right answers will appear. God has given you the ability, and lawyers more so than the normal people. So as we go along, if we don't ask the right question, if you ask the wrong questions, God has even given you the intellectual power, more than all of us combined together, to justify whatever we are doing. You can justify a nuclear bomb. You can justify a chemical attack. You can justify anything because you have the gift of gab. You have the mind. You can piece truth together. And in the courts, we have the laws which help you to justify anything that you want. To give you a classic example, something which I have treasured since I was a young child, and all not in the wrong way, please. Again, I'm giving you a special small fine print. It's nothing to do with me, it's sheer history. All of you as lawyers must have heard of the name Robert Allerton. If you haven't, then I want to talk about it. Robert Allerton in 1962 in England, He was a criminal par excellence. He was a thug on the street. He was not this huge mastermind criminal who would do giant conspiracies and scandals. No, he was the normal thug on the street, the bully, the guy who got into fight almost every day. Robert Allerton spent more of his life in the prison than outside. Every time he got free, he did something, he went. Either mugging or beating up or, theft, whatever. He would get into the prison The British people started wondering, this guy, what does he have? Prison jode su nato che, what affiliation he has with the prison. He's there every other day. So after spending so much time in the prison, one interviewer, his name, Tony Parker, he found courage to go into the Royal Belmarsh prison. In England, even the prisons have to be royal. They're so fixated about royal stuff. If anybody is here from England, please forgive me. But I love England. But anyway, so he was actually put behind bars in the Royal Belmarsh prison. Tony Parker, a famous journalist, a sociologist, he goes into the prison and he goes into his cell. He said, is this Robert Allerton? He said, I am. He said, do you mind if I do a small article on you in the newspapers? He said, no, go ahead. Everybody's talking about me. You're one more. He said, no, but do you think after talking to him, is it okay if I introduce you as a criminal? Because, you don't mess around with a criminal and who's serial and sincere. He'll get outside and just beat you up. He said, of course I mind. Call me a professional criminal. He said, what do you mean professional criminal? He said, look, I'll explain that a criminal is a criminal who commits a crime, then he may regret it. But guys like me who have decided to be a criminal as a profession, so I'm a professional criminal, and I don't regret my crimes, and I want to be a criminal all my life. Once a nurse, always a nurse. Once an engineer, always an engineer. Once a dentist, always a dentist. So once a criminal, I want to die as a criminal. So write about me as a professional criminal. I love criminal activities. He said, okay, fine, but can I ask you a few questions? Yes. He said, do you think it is correct to rob, to steal money of somebody from the streets? What's your stand? He said, of course it's correct. He said, the whole world is about money. He said, but do you think it's correct to forcefully or take money away from somebody? He said, I'm honest. Because if the guy I meet in the street, I tell him, give me your money. I'm not like the traders who buy something at a very low price and then pass it off as a high price and cheat the customer saying this is worth so much. They lie and make money. I'm honest. I said, give me your money. He said, but wait a minute. What if somebody doesn't give you your money? Would you beat him up? He said, of course, if my profession requires so, of course, I'd beat him up. He said, do you think it's right to beat somebody up if he doesn't give you your money on the streets? He said, look, I don't conspire and cheat. I'm not like the traders who say, give me first installment now and go home and struggle and give me more. I tell him, whatever is in your pocket, give me that much. I don't send him home to get more. The businessmen send him home to get more. I'm honest and I'm considerate. I just say, give me what you have in your pocket. And then I give him a choice that if you don't give me, I'll beat you up. If he desires to get beaten up, then I help him. I live in a free world. I'm an honest guy doing my profession. You wait for it, still wait for it, yeah? I want to finish Robert Allerton completely. So he said, I give them a choice and yeah, if they so desire to get beaten up, I help them. Then take the money. He said, what if somebody really refuses and fights back? Would you kill somebody for money? He said, if that's the ultimate, yeah. He should know by the time I start on him that I'm going to kill him. And then he should actually comply. My laws don't bend. His may. They say, is it correct to take a life? Now mark my words. Is it correct to take a life just for the sake of money? He said, what do our soldiers do? He said, they fight for the country. He said, stop their wages and tell me how many continue to fight for their country. He said, our soldiers fight a nation they have nothing against. They kill people they don't even know. They destroy cities that have not harmed them. They work on orders they may not believe in. I said, I follow my conscience. This guy met me on the street. He's not obeying me. He's getting in my way and he's a problem. So I beat him up. The soldiers have nothing to say. They work for money and they kill. So there's nothing wrong in killing for money. Don't tell anybody that I've been saying this, yeah? Because then I've got a rider at the end. So please wait for it. So then they said, hey, but you know, if you do that and you get caught, you'll get jailed. He said, yeah, job risk is nothing compared to the nuclear scientist who's working in the nuclear reactor. If something goes wrong, he's dead. The pilot who flies the plane, if something goes wrong, he's dead. The chauffeur who drives the car, if something goes wrong, accident, he's dead. My job risk is nothing compared to all these professionals whom you value. If something goes wrong and I get caught, I'm sitting in the plane, in the prison, get free meals 3 times a day. Guys like you come to interview me and I'm happy at drinking coffee. My job risk is nothing compared to the job risks that people have. And he says, at the end of the day, come on. I'll rather have a free life for 40 years and 20 years in jail than struggling from 9 to 5 every day in a job you don't like, with a boss you hate, working in a society you despise. That's a bigger jail for me than what I'm thinking about. This Robert Allerton, he has been able to justify everything he did. But does it make it moral? That's what I want to tell you. Your own rules, your own laws can justify anything under the sky. So justice is not enough. Law is not enough. Does it make what he did moral? Does it make what he did legal? It doesn't. God has given you and me intellect, the ability to piece information together, to analyze, to justify. But there is something beyond law and justice, that is the law of morality, the law of peace, the law of harmony. And once again, just to emphasize what I have been saying, you're all lawyers, and I think you'll be able to understand this so quickly and clearly. The most important thing is in life, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's moral. I think you understand that much better than me. And I've not come here to moralize. I've just come here to raise the right questions. The answers you'll discover on your own. Just because it's legal, does it mean that it's moral? Martin Luther King Jr. This is really shocking. Martin Luther King Jr., he said, never forget that everything Hitler did in Germany was legal. Never forget that everything Hitler did in Germany, it was legal. He was democratically elected. He declared a war. And do you know what he was fighting against, or what he was fighting for? He was actually fighting for justice, which all of you are doing. After the First World War, in 1990, the Versailles Treaty was done for peace. It was done, enforced by Britain, France, America was a part of it, other small European countries. It was actually done to force Germany not to have another war. It was not a fair treaty, as Hitler said. And you know what the treaty included? That yes, Germany had to return all the lands that they had won, fine. But they had to return all their colonies to the League of the Nations. That wasn't fair, because that was not won by war. All the colonies were long before. Then it also said Germany had to reduce all their industries. Reduce their soldiers from 6 million to 100,000 only. To demilitarize, meaning all their submarines, all their artillery had to be scrapped. Only they could keep 6 boats. These were all the part of the Versailles Treaty. Hitler asked one question, now you ask this question. Is this justified? Is this justice? Is this fair? And the whole of Germany united for the sake of justice and gave Hitler the power. I'm giving you it in a very simple form. And the questions which all of you should be asking, and we should still ask, he asked, why should we be punished for the wrongs that our predecessors did? Because of the wrongs of a father, can the son be jailed? Tell me, yes or no? Please. Because of the wrong of a father, can a son be jailed? Because of the wrongs of the past of a country, can the present be held responsible? They're all different people. They're all different thoughts. They are individuals who are different. But yes, we keep seeking justice, which is actually driven by revenge. We use the word justice. You know, when we don't like some friend, he said, this is not fair. I want justice. What do your children say? Dad, this is not fair. Mom, this is not fair. And what do we say to other people? This is not fair. What's happening in climate change? This is not fair. If you keep seeking justice, you will never have a solution in the mind. I'm not saying justice is wrong. To a certain extent, it is the way. But there is greater responsibility upon ourselves. So the root of the Second World War was seeking justice, and we had war. And I also explained there is not just justice done in the simplest way, but if you continually seek justice, and you continually create laws which are wrong and which are not fair for the whole world. You know, I think why this international first law international has been created, because all lawyers don't know about the laws of the country their clients may want to reach. So every country has different laws. And every country's laws are created by the culture they have and the communities they create. So laws are not the same. Then don't come to me and tell me, Swami, justice is the same. Justice isn't the same. Once, last year, I was standing in Jefferson Memorial. And as I was looking at all the beautiful write-ups that Jefferson himself had done in the Constitution of the US, there was one line that said, all men are created equal. Fine? So I read that all men are created equal. And I don't know what came over me. I said, all men are not created equal. And you should have seen the tourists and the people. They all crowded me. They suddenly thought that, oh, I'm some funny guy who's come from funny world. And I just stood there. I said, all men are not created equal. We are born in different countries, in different cultures. Each one of us on this earth has a different lifespan. Where is equality? Some have disabilities, some don't. Some have greater intellect, some don't. Some are born in a poor family where their whole life they spend in just trying to survive. And some are born in wealthy families where there's no issue of survival. Some are healthier, some are weaker. Some get better opportunities, some don't. So now you tell me, are all men created equal? Coming from a spiritual person, you'll be shocked. But no, let's talk about reality. Let's talk about reality. All men are not created equal, but I believe they should be treated equal. That's the role of God. Despite our differences, despite our variety of knowledge, variety of intellect, variety of background, differences of religion, even thinking, if we learn to respect and treat each other equally, that's what we mean by all men are created equal. They aren't created equal. Even you and your brother are not equal. Even you 10 years ago and you now are not equal. It's a constant flux. You keep changing. So all men, despite their differences, they should be treated equal, and they should be honored and respected in that way. And when we do that, the idea I want you to leave with is peace and harmony are the first and fundamental rights of human being, more than even justice. By what you do, what you create, if you are going to disturb peace and harmony on this earth, that's why I think yesterday His Excellency Sheikh Gyan did mention that in this country, they have started that way. They are creating laws that actually espouse peace and harmony. Any country that espouses such law, they may be difficult, but they are the laws that take us forward. And that will empower the lawyers to create such peace and harmony. If we continually seek just justice, then you'll have a fight every day at home. Your wife will tell you that I've been doing so. What have you been doing? You'll say, I'm bringing money. He said, anybody can bring money now. So if you continue to find and seek justice, life itself will seem unfair. And justice sometimes leads to revenge where there is no end to the cycle. I discovered it in a very difficult and a disturbed way, and I want to share that personal experience. In 2002, we have 1,200 temples around the world. So maybe in any country that you come from, BAPS Swaminathan Sanstha will have a temple, a beautiful temple, a functional temple, which is a source of peace and harmony. Our main temple in India, the name is Akshardham. One of it has been featured in the Guinness Book of World Record as the largest Hindu temple in the world. Temples which have been visited by almost most international leaders, even heads of different religions, for peace, for harmony. One of our temples in 2002, in September 24th, was attacked by 2 terrorists. A temple which is prided for its cleanliness, peacefulness, which has been visited right from Dalai Lama to Bill Clinton to Lech Walesa, all, you name them, they've come for prayers. But when it was attacked by 2, and I will not fear from saying the truth, that they were true, misguided Islamic terrorists, they came up. I know terrorism has no religion, but it was a Hindu temple and it was attacked. I was there whole night. 33 people were shot down. One of our own sadhus died next to me. And we were struggling to come to terms why, what. Our temples around the world do not have even a stick for security. Forget about guns or armaments. Forget about that. And for the last 200 years, we are still the most peaceful organizations where we have participated in Eid, different religious festivals, and brought people in, and we've helped everybody. We don't believe in difference, and any true religious group should not share a small iota of difference. I remember on that night when these 2 terrorists came and they mowed down, they killed people, whole night, the whole of India stood awake. NSG special commandos were sent in. And as I recall before you, I've never heard so much gunfire and grenades. They had come with grenades and gunfire. It was such a scene. And I still remember at the end, at 7 o'clock in the morning, when the 2 terrorists were actually hunted down and found in the temple premises, and then they were killed by the commandos. When we went into the halls, there was so much blood. So horrifying. For months, those images never left my mind. I'm a spiritual person, I meditate, we go over it, we above. But I just could not come to terms with that. Our spiritual head, Pramukh Swami Maharaj, now see how enlightened people see the event. We were the targets. We were hurt. It's so easy to talk about peace and harmony when it's somebody else's problem. But when it's you at the center of the issue, turmoil, in the eye of the hurricane, it's a different matter. So I was like so overcome when everybody came down and went and everything. Then the next day, our spiritual head told me, he said, don't go deep. He knew my mind, that I'll go deep, I'll ask, find out. He said, don't go deep. He started sprinkling flowers as well. All the people who had died, he met their families. Then he met all the people. 75% of India had gone on strike as a protest against this attack. You go into the news and you'll find out. But when our spiritual leader was sprinkling flowers and holy water all over the temple premises, suddenly he asked me, where did the terrorists die? And I was so scared. I knew under a tree from there, they had jumped and the commandos had shot them. I pointed at the tree. He took the flowers, even there. And I have to confess, I was walking with him, but I stood still. My feet and my mind did not allow me because I had not forgiven anybody. Our spiritual head, Pramukh Swami, he went right there. He sprinkled flowers there as well. And he said prayers for them as well, saying, may no community, no culture, no religion be the receiving end of any terrorism. And may nobody get thoughts of terrorism ever again. This was the prayer that he forgave them. And that's the reason we could build another Akshardham in Delhi. And now we are building another Akshardham in America. And we are also building a beautiful Akshardham and a temple in Abu Dhabi. When you stop seeking justice and you are responsible for peace, yes, you have been hurt. But why do you want to hurt people on and on more and more? Why can't we let go of the past and face the future? If you started seeking justice, then there is no reversal in this cycle of revenge and hate. As Luther King has said, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can. And this is not something I'm bringing you from the books, this is something that I've experienced. He helped us rise beyond a wound that we felt would never heal, and wounds heal. If somebody tells you that wounds don't heal, don't believe them. Wounds heal. I ask each one of you, might have a wound. I have a wound here which I fell down at about the age of 6, and there's a big gash. And I remember I cried at that time a lot. There's a lot of blood. But when I look at the scar, I have the memory, but I don't have the pain. There are so many things in your life that you have a memory but give up the pain. There are so many people who keep their pain fresh inside the refrigerator, fresh as ever, across time. And whenever somebody comes in, you spew out that venom. Go beyond. You have been hurt, yes. Life has been unfair, fine. Somebody betrayed you, fine. If you keep preserving that, your own hates and hurts will destroy you much more. Learn to go beyond. Peace and harmony are far important than revenge and justice. They are far more important. There was one man, he developed the cancer of the heart. Normally you don't develop cancer of the heart, the cardiac muscle is special. You get cancer of the liver, cancer of blood, you get cancer of the intestines, you get so many cancers, but not the heart. The doctor started wondering, how come this guy he was a Jew, and they said, but there must be something, there's no medicine that's actually working on you, you're not responding, so it must be something in your heart that's disappearing. He said, yeah, I'll never forget Hitler. He said, well, I was in the concentration camp. What he did to me, humiliated me, harassed me, I'll never forgive him, I'll never forget him. The doctors told him that don't keep this hate in your heart, let go of it, it's hurting you. He said, why should I? I'm the guy who has been hurt. You weren't, I am. That's ego. And the doctors said, at the end of the day, he died. You know what the doctors wrote? What the concentration camp of Hitler could not do to him, he did it to himself. Why do you preserve? Why do you reserve all these hates and hurts? Go beyond. Peace is more important than justice and revenge. And it's happened. You know of Nelson Mandela? When he passed away in 2013, 100 world leaders gathered for his farewell. Most of them he had never met. 100 leaders of top organizations came to pay respect. Most he never used. Mandela was born in a tribe. As a youth, he was struggling for education. He tried and established his law firm. Because he's a lawyer, that's why I'm telling you, don't tell me you can't do this. So he tried and established. But he was hunted during his youth. He was caught, conspired. The man who did it, John Foster, he actually masterminded the conspiracy against Mandela, put him in jail. Every time he tried to get out, he was put back into jail. Tried to get out, put him back into jail. A time came when Mandela, for no fault of his own, against the laws of a regime, see, there were laws, against the laws of a regime that did not value peace and harmony or equality. For 27 years, Mandela was in Robben Island. I have been there. If anybody goes to Cape Town, you go to that jail. The cell is so small, he could not even stretch his feet. You would break down with tears if you have a heart. It's so horrible. 27 years Mandela was in that jail. And as God would have it, the guy who conspired against him, John Foster, he became the Prime Minister. Then I think you have an issue with God. The guy who is wrong, forget about him being hurt. He becomes the Prime Minister of the regime. And for fun and to humiliate Mandela, he would often say, it is my dream to hang Mandela. Here's a guy in jail. Every other day he hears in the newspaper, the Prime Minister says, it's my dream to hang Mandela. To the newspaper media people, he would say, days are not long before you see Mandela dangling. He even tried to pass a bill, because even crimes have to be just. He even tried to pass a bill in the parliament, and somehow the bill never got approved. Here is Mandela, not just jailed, humiliated, harassed, every day waking up to the thought of his dying. But after 27 years, apartheid broke. The regime went. John Foster became a normal person, citizen. And when the jailer came to Mandela saying, Mr. Mandela, you are free from tomorrow? Mandela asked, how? He said, a fax has arrived. Mandela did not even know what a fax was. He says, what's a fax? This was how outdated he had become from his generation. Not just outcast. But when he came out, on the banks, on the shores of Robben Island, the whole world media had gathered. The first question they asked Mandela, Mr. Mandela, what do you think of John Foster? The man actually who conspired, humiliated, hurt, stole 27 years of his life. They asked him, Mr. Mandela, what do you think of John Foster? And he said, he's a decent man. And Mandela kept silent. Never ever till he died did he say a bad word about John Foster. If you can forgive to this extent, only then South Africa remains stable. Peace and harmony is more important than law and justice. He was a lawyer. He could have sought justice for the heinous crimes of 27 years. No. He left and went beyond. So peace and harmony. See the classic example of Vietnam, 20 years of war with America. America loses. It was not America's war. And look at the atrocities and crimes that have happened during that war. Vietnam put it behind them. The best allies with America, if countries can put it past behind them and not worry about peace or worry about justice, they put it behind them. Vietnam has been able to raise 75% of its population above the poverty line because of trade and allies. Do you want to grow as a company? Do you want to grow as a person? So most important, I wanted to say that if you find a way to share, if you find the way to go ahead in a place, not seeking just justice. Yes, justice is your profession. Law is your profession. But in your life, always try and seek peace. If you move in the line of revenge, listen to Confucius. Before you seek revenge, dig 2 graves. Not only do you destroy the other guy, you destroy yourself as well. As Mahatma Gandhi said, an eye for an eye, that is justice, would make the whole world blind. And one of the most famous lawyer, perhaps the only lawyer who has the adjective honest before him, Honest Abe, Abraham Lincoln, he has a small advice for all lawyers here. Discourage litigation. Persuade your neighbor to compromise whenever you can. As a peacemaker, the lawyer has a superior opportunity of being a good man. There will be business enough. Can you, apart from doing your business, can you be the peacemaker? Can you be the harmonizer? Yes, there are laws which are retributive. There are laws which are deterrent. There are laws which are preventive. And there are laws which are reformative. But personally, what type of laws would you want? I believe laws which are compassionate and human. And the ultimate aim for every lawyer, I have heard quotes from great lawyers. They say law has no compassion and justice should be delivered without compassion. Yes, that's true. But what if you were the victim? Ask yourself now. One Supreme Court lawyer from Delhi came to me crying on his knees. Why? He was a great lawyer for divorce, but he was undergoing divorce. And he was crying for his children. He said, I am a lawyer, but God, I want a law which is more human, more compassionate. Would you want the same for your child, your family, yourself? Ask yourself. At the end of the day, we do have bigger duties, but like I said, the court, the client, the community, then I also said the counsel, but like I said, your own conscience. If you become careful with your own conscience, do you have a value system that helps you? So all I ask you as lawyers, can you be happy with your own life, in your own family? Don't tell me you don't have time. You'll say, Swamiji, I have so many clients, but the clients came to you. Your family you brought into this world. Your responsibility towards your family is far more. You tell me, Swamiji, that I have so many duties to fulfill. Your biggest duty is towards humanity as well. So once in a while, try and work a little free. Not everything is just about money. Try and work where your passion lies. You know why I'm telling you? Because I've had this experience from Shaheen. All the temple constitution and all the guidelines we have been constantly receiving are all done in charity by one of your partners, that's Shaheen. He is a Muslim by faith and he's espousing a Hindu temple. I think First Law International has the character and the culture of being that. Try and do something which does not give you a return of money. Once in a while, I'm not trying to say sell everything that you have. Be compassionate. Then compassion will flow towards you, for you. I also want to insist in one most important thing. That if you have a family, give time to your family. If you have people that you can help them at the right time and say, I don't want anything, genuinely. They won't believe you at first. They'll think there must be some ulterior motive. No, feel genuine and create a value system. Yes, so many lawyers tell me, Swamiji, I can't refuse the rights of any client. If they come to me, I have to represent them. It's not true, come on. When you are busy and overloaded, you say no. When you are tired and you are ill health, you say no. When it's somebody that you don't really respect, you do say no. I am asking you to create your own value system. Don't represent cases that all that come to you, that you acquire. At least some through your own value system, filter them. And you have the right to say no, saying not me. You'll tell me that, Swami, some other lawyer will defend them. Fine, let them. You should not be. You should have your own value system guideline. That guides you. I'm not here to dictate that value system, but you should. And if you tell me that you are too busy and too uninterested, and you think spiritual life is unimportant for a lawyer, I think lawyers are the most important people that need it, because you are the only one who deals with truth. And truth is the representation of God on this earth. Mahatma Gandhi was a lawyer. He was no ordinary lawyer. He is the first to stand up against inequality in South Africa. Many times the South Africans say, you sent us a lawyer and we gave you back a Mahatma. So he was the first who stood up for truth. Not only that, he came to his country, a 200-year-old empire he could dislodge just through non-violence. He united a nation. Even in that, this entire responsibility of a nation was on his shoulder, and it wasn't simple law after law. It wasn't all sequential. It was all not all brief. Everything was outside the brief. Everything that Gandhi had to do was outside the brief of a lawyer. But he nonchalantly went on till he dislodged an empire. To such an extent, now I want to come back and go back into the pages of history. Churchill actually said he feared Gandhi. Churchill was the victor of the Second World War. The grand, the thoughtful, the witty, the intellectual, who actually saved England and the whole of Europe and the world from the claws of a dictator. And he was the ruler of an empire, and Gandhi was the leader of a slave nation. For when General Smuts discussed with Churchill, they were going to have a meeting in Tehran, Stalin, Roosevelt and Churchill. Okay, and General Smuts. When in the private chambers they were discussing, and he asked that, do you know Gandhi? Churchill said, yes. He said, he has done something which you will never be able to do. He has resorted to spirituality for his purpose. And obviously you know how spiritual or moral Churchill was. So he said, there is something that you will not be able to do. He said, do you want to meet him? Churchill said, no. He said, why? He said, I fear him. Why? Because in his presence, I think I'll become a different man. The power of values coming down from spiritualities, and Gandhi, despite his responsibility over entire nation, not just one firm, not just one client, not just one case, the entire future of India, still not once did Gandhi fail to say his prayers. He has written, in my life I have had more than my fair share of some of the most bitterest experiences of life. And I know that without prayer, I would have been a lunatic long ago. In your life, which is difficult, in your life which is stressful, in your life which is unhealthy, in your life where you have constantly juggled with information and truth and you are pressed, I think you should spare that 2-5 minutes, whoever you believe in, whatever faith you have. You have faith in higher lawyers or your father or mother, say or spare that time to find yourself stable and stability. When you do that, you rise beyond your own abilities. You will be able to produce something that you have never ever thought of. Our spiritual head, Pramukh Swami, often said that combined we are a great force. With the blessings of God, we become even a greater force. Human beings as a species are powerful. Individually, we are weak. Put a man with a cat, he's fearful. Put a woman with a cockroach, she's fearful. We pride ourselves being the strongest species because we are collectively strong. Individually, we are weak. Because we've been able to connect through our minds, through our abilities, through our inventions, through our ideas, we are strong. So harmony and peaceful harmony is the only way for the world ahead. You've come from more than 55 countries. Now I want to ask you, what nationality is the sun? Is it British, American, Indian, Russian, Chinese, Vietnamese? The sun is there for those who want to see light. Okay, what water is religion? Is it Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jew, Buddhist? Water is there for those who are thirsty. Okay, I ask you, what color is air? Is it brown, white, black, yellow? According to our races, color, air is there for those who want to breathe. And I want to ask you, what class does earth belong to? Higher, lower, upper, middle? Earth is there for those who want to walk and stand tall. Then what race does space belong to? Just because we just touched the moon, does it belong to us? Space is there for those who want to explore and flourish. If all the 5 elements, earth, water, light, space and air, are universal elements owned by nobody, enjoyed by everybody, so should be our life. Beyond nationality, color, race, religion, rise. And when you do that, you will become a part instrument of God, and we shall be able to create that peace and harmony on this earth, which we are so badly searching for. So most importantly, I would like just to suggest, you don't have to believe me, to get everything right, even for yourself, even for the clients, and even for the judges, and even for the world, if you introduce just one law. When there's a case going on, instead of the witness taking an oath, if the lawyer stands up and says, I shall speak the truth, and nothing but the truth, I think it'll solve the problems. Think about it. It'll solve the problems. The judge will not have to bother much. You will do the filtering, which to take and which not to take. If the lawyer decides that I shall speak the truth, and nothing but the truth, and truth as it is, then I believe you shall become the symbol of the little bit of God that we represent. Of course, we have honest Abraham Lincoln, the non-violent Mahatma Gandhi, the forgiving Mandela. So there are lawyers, and I do believe by the way the world is moving, one day even God might file an application that we need 2 or 3 lawyers up in heaven. And of course, with your value system, we shall be able to qualify. Last message I will leave you behind, rather than trying to set the whole world right. Once, a man had a boy, and he was hyper, kept bothering him now and again with questions and problems. The man, to keep the boy busy, he tore out a map of the world from a magazine and asked the boy to study the map of the world, his own son. The boy studied it, then the man cut it into 100 pieces, knowing all well that the boy doesn't even know the shapes and sizes of the country, and he asked them, they put it back together and come. He knew they won't finish in even a day or 2 days, I'll have rest and the boy would be busy. Within next 20 minutes, the boy came back with the whole map of the world fixed. And the man was so shocked. He said, but how did you do it? He said, so easy. I turned the page behind. Overleaf, there was a picture of a man. I just put the man together and the world came down. If we put ourselves together, your life and law and the world will come together. Thank you very much. I'll say special prayers for all of you. Thank you for inviting us and listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Swamiji, for enlightening us with your divine wisdom. Law regulates life, and that's why we say problems of laws are problems of life. And we do have a lot of problems in law. That is why peace and harmony should always be beyond law. And Swamiji, you have established your case very well, and we request you to please accept a small memento from the Global Chairman of Good Winds, Dr. C. Cat 2.